of people sending. Welcome back to Suantraí, Íosa, where we're looking at the readings for tomorrow, Thursday, the 16th of February. And the first story is the story of how God makes a new covenant with Noah. And he establishes the rainbow in the sky as a reminder to us that he will always keep his promises, the promises of his mercy and love. And we rejoice in the sign of God's mercy and love. But it is always the sign for the believer of God's love in the sky, and the mercy and the love of God endures forever. And in the psalm, nations shall fear the name of the Lord, and all the earth's kings your glory, when the Lord builds up Zion again and appears in all his glory. One of the lovely theologies they have in Steubenville University is the idea of the visitation of God, that God comes from time to time and he renews his church. And I see that in history. I see cycles of that. The psalm reminds us, God will build up his people again. We're called to be a people of faith. No matter what stage of development God's plan is at. And speaking of God's plan and being good disciples, the gospel is brilliant. Mark chapter 8. The disciples, they leave for the villages around Caesarea Philippi with Jesus. And on this way, Jesus, asked them this question, who do you say I am? And Peter spoke up and he says, you are the Christ. And he gave them strict orders not to tell anyone, because Peter was able to tell the right answer. And I'm sure Peter felt, oh, this is great. I know what I'm doing. And then in the same gospel, Peter is arguing with Jesus, telling him that he mustn't go to Jerusalem and be put to death. He's more important than that. And then Jesus has to say to Peter, get behind me. Because Satan is using Peter in this moment. And then to Satan, because get behind me, Satan, because the way you think is not God's way, but man's. Now, a lesser man than Peter would be crushed by that and would walk away and say, oh my God, how could he have said that to me? But this is what it is to be a disciple. To learn and to have compassion for yourself and know that you won't get everything right. Like Peter, there's times when we get things wrong. And we should pray that we would have the humility that St. Peter had to be able to accept that challenge and grow. It's one of St. Peter's most admirable characteristics that he can take correction well and grow. With thoughts such as these, let us go to our beds and let us pray we shall indeed awaken in the morning with the praise of God on our hearts and on our lips. Agus gemanodia ilikok the shiv, ahar mak agus spirit nev. Amen. Slán go fóill. Bye for now.